I'm joined by Angelo Costanzo, who played in the NSL, the ALeague, and for the Socceroos. Thanks for joining me, Angelo.
No worries. Good to be here.
Where did your love for football first start?
I started pretty early on. My had three brothers, so they were all into football. My dad was also involved with Azuri, which is Adelaide Blue Eagles now. He's a life member there, so he was involved there. So we were always around the game. So I just pretty much followed my brothers playing, and then eventually got into it as well. So it's pretty a family of football. You know, we all enjoy it, and my nephews, most of them have played it or at some stage and still playing it now.
In 1995, you made the step up to NSL side Adelaide City. How
Yeah,
difficult was that step up going from a semi-pro setting to a full professional setting for you personally?
yeah, it's I just won the Player of the Year, and I thought I could go there, and just pretty much being young, and you think you could just step in straight away, but it was it took a bit of time. It took probably 6 months of training. You got to remember, Alex Tobin's there, Milan Ivanovic, Taladir, all these, Joe Mullen, Serge Mel, all these guys who we grew up watching were there. So it took a while just to get used to the training method of Zoran Manic. And then, probably the second year was the year did 1 year probably just training pre-season and playing with LA City in the local league, and then stepped up the year after that. So pretty much, it took me a year to get into the squad.
You just mentioned Paul Wade and Milan Ivanovic. They are
Yeah,
obviously two fantastic players. For a young
yeah.
player like you coming into the squad, how important was it having such good professionals like them in the side? And what are some of the best lessons you learned from them?
Milan Ivanovic is a player I tried to model myself on. So playing a similar role to him, he was just all class, not just defensively, but he started the majority of the attacks as well. So that was something I took on board, and just being around and watching him train, uh, you know, asking questions. Just I think a lot of the kids of today just don't ask enough questions. It's the only way you're going to get better is by asking and working. So we used to ask, we used to watch, we used to hang around and do extra and stuff like that. So um, for me, it was a great experience and a great learning curve.
So a few years after Adelaide at Marconi, you earned a couple of Socceroos caps.
Yeah,
What do you remember about your international debut? And personally, how do you think you went in that match?
yeah. Well, I made the decision to go to Marconi, and it worked out well. After a season or after a few games, I got into that Socceroo team. We had where did we go? We went to my first game was in Colombia, pretty much. So as a bit of a life lesson, as well as playing against a very good team. So me and Archie Thompson pretty much we debuted the same game. So over in Bogota. So it was pretty daunting experience, but one that I truly treasured, and one that I wanted to do my whole life.
And you've even scored at international level against New Caledonia.
Yeah,
Talk us
yeah,
through that goal.
that was just in the Confederation Cup qualifiers in New Zealand. So set piece come in, just jump like a spawning salmon, as Andy Harper would say, and managed to score. So it was another great experience, and again playing with quality players is something you treasure for the rest of your life.
The NSL didn't really last too much longer after that, and the A
No.
League started. So, as a professional footballer in Australia, what was your first thoughts when you heard about the A League being announced? Did you have any sort of like optimism, or did you worry that it was going to be more of the same?
Yeah, well, it took about 18 months for it to start after the last NSL season. So everyone was skeptical. No one knew what was going to happen. But then um, once this team started getting announced and started settling down, we made this decision to come back to Adelaide. Yeah, that was something we wanted to have our kids and raise them there. So for me, it was a no-brainer coming back to Adelaide United, who pretty much were already established. So which made it a lot easier, and we pretty much started training straight away as a group. So the squad was pretty much settled and started training, and that's why this first season we did very well.
So you've played in both the A-League and the NSL. I know
Yeah.
it's a bit hard to compare the two, but personally, how do you think they stack up against each other?
Oh, they were both good competitions. You know what I mean? The players I spoke about before, I managed to play, and then in the A-League, I think the A-League, the first 4 or 5 seasons were very good, and then it sort of plateaued out a bit, and now it's starting to improve against. Hopefully this year will be another good season. You know, the good foreigners coming in. So the A-League did plateau a little bit, and as showed with crowds and just there was not a lot of interest in the game at one stage, whereas now it's starting to pick up, and hopefully, you know, it goes to that next level, especially with the TV rights coming in, Paramount and Channel 10. Hopefully it gets a lot more coverage as it should, and, you know, it can come, you know, a lot of people start watching it again and going to games.
Well, fingers crossed. But
Yeah,
you were part of A-League history. You played in the very first ever A-League match. Do you
yeah,
remember that match at all? And what were your memories of
yeah.
it?
Oh, we were underdogs. I can remember we all read the paper. I think we were paying $4 or $5 to win. No one gave us a chance, and we knew we were ready. We've been planning. You know, we had a long pre-season. Everyone knew each other. We knew each other well. We planned for it, and then we managed to get a good result there with Ross Aloisi putting a ball into Carver, who flicked it in for a goal. So it was well deserved. We deserved to win, and managed to have a pretty good season that year.
And you were involved in the 2007 grand final. We hear a lot about that, but mostly
Yeah.
from Melbourne Victory players. So as an Adelaide player, what are your thoughts on that match, you know, 14, 15 years later?
Yeah, not one we like talking about anymore, but it's part of history. We were in history for the wrong reason, so it wasn't great. It was just a build up of things. I think Cozzy got suspended the week before, and probably made a comment that he probably regrets that he could coach from the coffee shop, which didn't go well. And then we didn't have we did. Everyone remembers we conceded a couple of goals early, but we had a couple of. I think we had 1 or 2 very good chances where we could have gone up, and unfortunately we didn't. And then going 2-0 down, and then your captain. So you got your coach and your captain in the grandstand after 25 minutes. It makes it very difficult, and we had to try and attack it. No use sitting back, and unfortunately, you know, we opened up a little bit, and, you know, we conceded another 4 goals, and probably could have been a few more, but, you know, it was just disappointing all around. I think if Ross had stayed on the field, it would have been, hopefully, you'd want to think that it would have been a lot different. We could still stay in the game. 11 in 11 makes it easier, but yeah, for us, I think the worst thing about it is the prelim, the couple of games before against Victory, we were about a minute away from hosting the grand final. So we lost. I think James Robertson scored in the 92nd minute, and to go 2-1 down, and we were a couple of minutes away from hosting the grand final. So the whole disappointment. We managed to get it back against Newcastle. We beat Newcastle on penalties a week after, but then it was an accumulation of things. I think it just got to a point where it wasn't good for us, but, you know, that's made us stronger. And, you know, the good thing about it, a month or so later, we were playing Champions League with the first Aussie team to be in the Champions League, and we got it out the way pretty quick and managed to get onto the Champions League.
Now, a bit more positive, as you just mentioned, the Champions League. Adelaide United had an amazing run in the 2008 Champions League. What are
Yeah.
your personal memories of that campaign?
Oh, that was amazing. You know, especially the original games, the first few games, I remember we went to China. We needed to get a draw to go on to the next round, and then there was the big earthquake was in there. They managed to have the big earthquake. I think I can't remember how many thousands of people died, so we couldn't play. We had to delay the game because it was National Day of Mourning, and it was just accumulation of games of things. The food wasn't great, so we had our backs against the wall there, and we managed to get the result, and then we managed to go on to the finals, sort of round of 16 and quarterfinals and semi-finals. But from there, it was we just got on a run. You know, we played some great teams, but we were just confident. We got into that run, and then the thing we remember the most was probably the semi-final at Highmarsh. There was probably 20,000 people. It was just packed, jam-packed. There was people standing in the aisles. It was unbelievable. And then against Uzbekistan, and we had a good result, and then we went away. And again, we got to Uzbekistan, and they kept us at the airport. They took our passports, and they tried to make everything as difficult as they could for us. I think we ended up losing the game 1-0, but we managed to go through. And then, yeah, it was just an amazing feat for us, and we just couldn't get over the line against Gamba Osaka, who had Endo in his prime, and a couple of Brazilian international players. What Endo was on was our whole squad. So what we managed to do was just an unbelievable experience, and the town of Adelaide just got right behind us, which was amazing.
So you had an awesome playing career, and then you moved on after playing to coaching. Did you find that to be a difficult transition into coaching, or did you settle in quite well?
Oh, it's different. It's as a player, you just rock up and just worry about yourself. As a coach, you got to try and manage 20-odd players and stuff. But we enjoyed it. Got involved with the Adelaide United youth team and with Michael Valkanis, and we just had a great run there. A lot of players came through and played for the national team, and or played in the ALeague, and now have gone on overseas, and players like Awa Mabil and Riley McGree. Yeah, they came from our youth team, and then you look through the whole ALeague, and there's 7, 8, 9 players that we had something to do with by bringing them up, and I think those things there, when you look back, are probably better than winning any trophy. Especially as a coach, you see these things happening where you got players and you're still watching them and still keeping in contact with them and stuff like that. So that's trophies are good at the time, but these things, when a player you speak to rings you and tells you how you go and thanks for everything, is probably more special than winning anything at that time.
Going back to playing for just a moment, so looking back at your whole playing career, is there a memory or a moment that sticks out to you where you think, yes, this is the best one, this is my favorite memory?
Oh, I just think, the Socceroos, that was something I dreamt as a youngster, that I wanted to play for my country, and that was something that I always aspired to do. So looking back at that's probably the biggest enjoyment for me and my family, was playing, for the Socceroos.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No problem. Anytime. Let me know. And I'm just a Zoom call away these days. That's the easiest way we can communicate with everyone in lockdown. Hopefully everyone's staying safe and positive out there.